Hi, this is Joyce Cox with the Neighborhood Connect podcast, and
I'm Paul Young, the Director of Housing and Community Development.
Well, Paul, today I'm excited. We've been in conversation with some young people, and I don't want to date myself, but they are old enough to be my children. But that's okay. That's okay, because they are making me feel so youthful. We have Mr. Bertram Williams with Cloud 901.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. And we have two distinguished members of the Memphis City Youth Council. That's correct, ladies? Mm-hmm. And that's Ms. Mackenzie Walker and Ms. Dallas Moore. And we want to welcome you guys to the Neighborhood Connect podcast.
Yes, welcome you guys. I'm so excited to have you all here.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Enlightening sitting here this first 20 minutes just listening to you. I've learned a lot already. So
I know.
If you can share half of what you shared with me, I think the public is going to be excited.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I just have one. I'm itching for y'all to tell me, because one of the young ladies in our office decided to name this edition of our podcast the Glo-Up. And it confused me, because I was like, what in the world is the Glo-Up? So, ladies and gentlemen, inform me and our audience, please.
What's the Glo-Up?
Well, the Glo-Up is a transition to a better you. And a lot of people take it as maybe look-wise, like have you grown to be attractive? But I take it as more spiritual, mentally, emotionally. You're not the same person you was last year, or maybe you weren't the same person you was last week. Like I said, I've known people who went from a deep depression to now nothing can let them down.
Oh, wow.
That's their Glo-Up.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I could say more than that. It means you have evolved.
You have evolved.
And I'll jump in and say, working with young people, I'm kind of hip to, the way.
So you knew what it meant?
Yeah, right. And so what I can say is that I've witnessed, en masse, a real glow-up for young people in Memphis. Mm-hmm. We've had a few incidents that have caused people to feel like young people are really struggling, but what I feel like is, in total, young people, like she said, we are kind of, climbing out of depression. We're climbing out of self-confidence issues, and so I think the city of Memphis's youth population is under a real glow-up. I can say that.
Right,
for sure.
I totally agree. I agree.
So from that,
it's lit.
It's lit. I agree. So let's do a little bit of introduction. I want you guys to kind of introduce yourselves to everybody. So let's start with you, Dallas, since you went to the best high school in Memphis.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you. My name is Dallas Moore. I attend East High School, where I am a senior, and I'm a part of the Memphis Youth City Council.
What district?
District 9, Position 2.
All right.
And I'm Mackenzie Walker from Whitehaven High School, and I'm representing District 3.
I'm Bertram Williams, and I attended Central High School, Wooddale High School, and Overton High School. Don't ask me why. I went to all those high schools, but they say every saint has a past, every sinner has a future.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you didn't attend either of the right schools, but your future is still bright. Thank y'all for being here today.
Yes, thank you so much. So, Paul.
Paul, yes.
Paul, I'm sorry. Since there's so much energy here today, we talked about, and I think it's a good idea. We want to hear from the youth. Mm-hmm. We want to hear what you guys got to say. But before we listen to you, let me tell you the truth and the best high school in Memphis, Tennessee. That's Northside Cougars, and everybody wants to be a Cougar. Okay. Thank you.
Is that still a Shelby County school?
We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there.
We're glowing up.
It's hard to be a Mustang. Everybody
let's
can't
glow
be.
up.
Yeah, everyone can't be a tiger. Everyone can't be a tiger.
That's okay.
So with that, though, I do want to get you guys' perspective. Obviously, Bertram, you kind of hit on it. There's oftentimes a negative connotation that comes out when we start talking about our youth and what's happening in the city of Memphis. And I want to just get you guys' perspective on what do you see happening in the city right now? What are you optimistic about? What are some of the challenges that you face as a young person? And then I'm going to let you chime in on the end, Bertram, because you actually work with a lot of these young people.
Well, I know for me, I feel like another lingo that we use is woke. I feel like a lot of kids are woke. They're alive. They're, like I said, they're mentally, spiritually, emotionally alive. They see they're cognizant of what's going on in the area around them. So now they're starting to realize, hey, we can't play around no more because it's serious. We're about to graduate high school. They're not playing with us anymore. This city isn't playing with us anymore because there's so many kids, and it's a very small percentage of them. It's so many who feel that they can just do whatever they want to in the world. And yes, it's okay to be sovereign, but you still have to respect authority.
That's right.
And but you also have that vast majority where we respect authority. We want something out of life, and we're trying to make a difference in Memphis, and we want Memphis to be taken off that list of the most crime.
Right.
We want, and especially, it's always committed by the young people. It's never committed by people who are, older and a little seasoned people. But people always put the blame on the teenagers.
Okay.
Dallas, what do you think?
I believe that the youth are starting to get better. At first, we didn't want to participate in anything educational. We didn't want to do anything outside of having parties and doing other bad things in life. But now I think they're starting to focus and really understand the world, or try to get a grasp on the world and do better in life. Because in school, I'm going to go off a little bit, but in school, the youth haven't been the best at all. But now they're starting to get a lot better. Like at my school, last year and year before that, our test scores were awful. But this year, they have gone up drastically.
Right.
I'm talking about honors programs, non-honors. Everything has gotten a lot better. And I think it's because they want more. They want VOTEC and stuff like that to come back into schools so they can have opportunities with other jobs, I would say, or just to do better in life, so they can be better than their parents.
And one organization that's at Whitehaven and at East that has really helped prepare students for a life after high school is Peer Power. When I say that that made a lot of kids want to come after school to get help in tutoring subjects that range from Spanish to biology.
Oh, wow.
And I know for myself, I was a Algebra 2 tutor. I don't like math at all, but I understood Algebra 2. That's one type of math I understood. And I remember my first scholar, he came to me on the verge of joining a gang. And now he's at the University of Memphis majoring in business. Oh, wow. So that shows you how peer power can help cultivate an individual.
That's awesome. I hadn't heard about that.
I hadn't either.
Yeah, it's actually one of my fraternity brothers who's a chapter brother who's a man of Omega Psi Phi named Malcolm Ross.
Malcolm.
Y'all know Malcolm. Great
Malcolm.
Omega man.
Oh, yes, he's at Whitehaven.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Right.
Messing with Director Paul because he made a mistake himself. But Mackenzie makes a really great point when she talks about like cultivation. There is this misnomer that young people who grew up under certain circumstances that there's a ceiling, but that's absolutely not true. And I think that what we as adults do is we make the mistake of basically doing two things. We expect our children to raise themselves, and then we give up on them when they don't meet the expectations that we've set for them. And so that's why I really like to commend Director Paul and Ms. Joyce for even engaging the young people in this fashion, because that's the answer. I can't think of an individual who has life in their bones and their body and their blood that will want to live a life that's not successful, that will want to live a life that's full of pain, poverty, or whatever. And so I think that by being honest, firstly, about the situations and the circumstances that these young people are dealing with, and being super intentional about investing in them, something as simple as this opportunity to give young people a voice that hopefully other young people will hear. That is, those are steps in the right direction. But I think that it is really important for us not to make or the same either mistakes or try to utilize the same solutions that have been used time and time again.
Right.
We need to start bringing them onto the podcast. We need to send them to Cloud 901, which is, I guess my tie-in to this, because I've seen at the Cloud, young people who come in from East, from Whitehaven, from Central, White Station, schools all across the city who, if they had not had this opportunity for engagement, for like putting their hands on the camera or going into the studio and recording a song, ain't no telling what they would be doing. I know what I was doing when I was in high school not too long ago, and not all of it was positive, and so I feel like by, organizations who have taken time to invest and utilize resources specifically for teens, not just young people, because I think sometimes it's lost on the people 13 and under. That window 13 to 18 sees a whole lot of like low investment, but that's a really pivotal time in the life of a young person in Memphis.
Right.
Like you just said, you met a brother who was probably 15 to 16, about to get put down vice lord, and had he not met you or become a part of peer power, his life would be set on a different trajectory.
Right.
And so I think that, I don't want to talk too long, but as we continue to talk through some of these solutions, and also, being honest with ourselves about the situations that these young people are in, and I think that would really help us to better understand some of the behaviors that we see. I guess in closing, it is, I was saying this to, I was talking to Mr. Massey over at WMR 91.7, and he, I was telling, and this is simple, Pete, we've heard this analogy before, but it is absolutely ridiculous for us to expect a flower to grow if you don't water it. And so what do we look like if we see the flower wilting and falling apart, and we yelling at the flower, grow, why you not growing, but we not watering the flower? I think it's our job to do the watering.
Absolutely. Right.
Well, we're concerned. And we're concerned, and we want to know the answers. How can we help you? How can we meet the need?
Yeah.
So, I'm asking the question. I have my son is 22, and he's at that age. Sometimes I'm like, okay, are you who I raised? And if you're listening, I do love you. But as a parent, parenting does not come with a handbook. Doesn't.
No.
So we need to hear what you have to say. And it's not always what you say, it's how you say it to get your point across. So that's why we're here today, because we want to hear your voice.
Right.
So how do you, and I'm going to ask this question because we have it written down and I'm interested. What does, it's a simple word, and Aretha Franklin said it one, RESPECT. What does that mean to you? Now, I can sing it for you.
Well, respect means to me being able to know how to act, have character, not only in public but also in private. You're able to respect yourself as well as respect others. Respect.
Right. Respect to me means that you have an open mind. You're willing to listen to whatever anyone has to say and take in what they have to say and truly understand what they have to say without having a negative vibe towards them or their opinion.
Right.
Bertram?
Yeah, I would echo what they said, but I think that as adults or people in positions of authority, I think it's easy for us to confuse or for us to reciprocate.
That's
respect.
Right. Exactly.
I've seen instances where like a security guard in a public place will address at first meeting a young person as if they were the lowest of the low, just because they've seen other people act up, and will never be effective that way. And so, to Mackenzie and Dallas's point, respect has to be both ways.
Right, it has to be mutual because you can't talk to someone with an attitude and not expect one back.
Definitely.
And considering, so Joyce, Paul, y'all probably, you grew up in the situation, like you learn to respect authority. Right. Some of these young people are leading households. Some of these people have not been put in a position to have to respect, someone. Right. And so when you meet that person and then you treat them as if they understand the concept, and you do that with a negative tone, like you're gonna get beat up.
Right, because everybody isn't a Dr. Martin Luther King. Everybody isn't Jesus. So a lot of us not saved yet. So treat me with respect.
This is Neighborhood Connect.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Connect podcast show. And we have some very interesting guests today, and they're explaining to me what the Glo-Up is. But I have a question for our young people, and it's been a very interesting conversation so far. So, are either one of you guys members of your neighborhood association?
I'm a member of the Binghamton Neighborhood Association.
Okay.
Good.
That's good.
No, ma'am. I haven't heard anything about a neighborhood association.
All right. You live in Whitehaven.
Yes.
All right. And there are several neighborhood associations in Whitehaven. But they're primarily ran by older people. Right. And they've been in the communities for years. So they need some foot soldiers. That's what I call you. Your foot, because you're youthful and you can run where they can't run, and you can become more involved in your community, because that's really going to make a change. And when we have young people that we can groom and pass the baton on to, that's a part of really being a part of your community. Right. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, Joyce, I would just chime in and say I think you asking that question and the response that you get is kind of revealing, because I think it shows that there's oftentimes a disconnect.
Right.
Because as adults, we see one way to try to address problems and think that the younger generation is hearing us, but they don't even use those venues to communicate or address problems.
Exactly.
And so we got to make sure that we are bridging the gap. And so that's part of what we are here to do today. So you guys are going to be able to get more engaged in your associations, and we're going to be able to try and figure out how to get on Snapchat and solve some problems as well.
Yes.
It's easy. Snapchat is easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, we're going to solve them through Snapchat. But I do have another question for you guys. So all of you are aware, of the past year that we just had. We just had a tough year.
Right.
228 homicides, a lot of them young people.
Yeah.
And we want to solve this problem, and we want to solve it as a community, but we're not going to solve it with government officials sitting in a room talking.
Right.
We need you guys to tell us what we can do to help address this problem. And so I just want to get some off-the-cuff feedback from you guys on what you guys think we could do as a solution to some of these issues.
Right. I kind of have experience with that. In 2015, one of my friends was murdered. My childhood friends was murdered. And how he was murdered was because he was somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And my principal, Dr. Vincent J. Hunter, if you're listening, love you. He always stresses that you should don't ever be at the wrong place at the wrong time, because you don't know what will happen. People are going to these parties and they're saying, well, tell a friend to bring a friend. Well, you don't know what their friend is up to. You don't know what their true intentions about coming to this party is all about. So that's why I tell people, if you know of something that's going to go down, don't you even think about going. Just instead of going to the parties, how about we go to the library? Instead of going to the parties, how about we go and get an ACT booklet so we can work on increasing our ACT scores so we can go to college. And once we go to college, and get a career, not a job, but a career, then we can party because we have the income.
All right, you preaching over there. Dallas, what you think?
It's crazy that you say that. Mackenzie and I were just in a meeting last week or week before last talking about how the youth have had the highest murder rate last year and all of that. I think that the youth should be involved in more school activities and outside of school activities such as sports, Peer Power, of course, Cloud 901, maybe church sports, or just some type of group that brings them around other youth that have already been a part of the group, or just new people. They can't be hanging around the same neighborhood friends that they've been hanging around because it just brings negative vibes. And just like she said, you bring a friend to the party. You can bring a friend to the church or to whatever group that you're in, and just do positive things in life. Maybe a neighborhood cleanup, just something positive. And we need to work on, I don't want to sound cheap or anything, but a lot of the youth that are doing the crime are the youth that are less fortunate. And a lot of activities cost. So we need to come up with free activities for the youth to participate in. Peer Power is free. Cloud 901 is free. But everyone doesn't have transportation as well. So we need to put more in the neighborhood community centers and just bring more positive people into the neighborhood. Not just take the people away and take them to positive places, well, so-called positive places, but bring it to your neighborhood.
Right. So what about some suggestions? Can you maybe write down some suggestions of some of the positive things that can be brought to the community centers, and we can look into that.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that's a tremendous solution. I really like that idea. Bertram, what do you think?
Yeah. So I think we should really be focusing on the influences that the young people are kind of beholden to. I think we disregard the fact that if you listening to, and this ain't a knock on any of the public radio stations, but there's so many references to doing drugs, shooting somebody if they, get wrong with you or this and that. And I feel like we are kind of naive to the impact that these mediums that they're having on our young people. And so I feel like there is wisdom in us finding ways to support alternative, like media, alternative forms of art that young people would appreciate. I work closely with this group called The Collective, and that group is made up of people who are largely Memphians, but they're producing art that is dope, just as dope as the stuff that's out on the radio or on the screen or wherever else, but it holds that kind of positive message that sets a vibe that says, hey, let's go hang at Cloud 901, let's go to the cool event at the church, as opposed to some of the other, stuff that people, young people find themselves doing. And so I think that's a solution, like they said, supporting opportunities, largely free events for young people to come and see some art by Don Lifted or to hear music from Ralph Calhoun, because those things are being put out to kind of, in contrast to a lot, excuse my language, but a lot of the BS is being put out that's impacting us. I'm sorry, Mama Joyce.
I totally agree.
I agree as well.
Because when you hear music about, excuse me, F this, F that, and we're going to shoot up this, we're going to shoot up that, that gets into people's minds.
That's right.
It gets into people's mind. And that's where I remember in 6th grade, I went to Snowden for middle school.
Me too.
And
you back on track.
All right,
Me too.
All right. And,
they called it junior high when I went.
Oh, yeah. So in 6th grade, I remember meeting a guy. He was white, of course. And, not of course, but... And he has never been around a black person ever in his life, ever. The only thing that he knew about black people was through the game Grand Theft Auto and listening to rap music. And he thought that every black person was thugs, and it was so, I guess, the experience, he was appalled. Let me say that. He was appalled, and I guess it was like an eye-opening experience for him, because when he got to class and he saw that we were smarter than him, he was like, whoa, like, where is this coming from? I thought all you guys do was, make songs and shoot people and steal cars. I'm like, no, we're more than that. We're that's only 2% of us. The rest of us want to do something in life. And that's the same thing with the youth. It's only 2% of us that we just go left. The other 98%, we want to do right. However, we don't have anyone to push us 99% of the time.
And to your point, Mackenzie, even that 2% that you say have gone left, if they have seen the example, just like the white boy would have been shocked, I feel like they would have been equally shocked to know that they had a capacity to, go to school and learn like a Mackenzie or a Dallas. It's just a matter of awareness and a matter of like just seeing the thing in front of you, seeing more positive examples. And we gotta, again, there's one reason I really love Cloud 91. We are producing the media through film, through song, that allows young people to either see or hear what they truly can become.
Okay. Definitely. I think, I'm sorry, this is the last thing I'm saying. We should be exposed to the, what is the word that I'm looking for? Successful black people in Memphis. Because we really, I see some of them, but the ones in my school, they really don't see a lot of successful black people. So that brings on a lot.
So how can we make that better?
Well, for one, I think you all should support anything that we do, because I know a lot of people who maybe rap is their way out of being in a house full of gang activity, or writing a song is their way out of a house full of drug trafficking and this and that. And I feel like people should support, instead of you just looking down and saying, oh, you're just good for writing lyrics. Right. No, those lyrics turn into you writing a speech for Barack Obama. That could turn into something like that. And I know people who are ghostwriters who make, their salaries are like $2 million a year just from writing lyrics for Beyonce.
Wow.
I need to start writing some lyrics.
Me too.
I'm finna go.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
Beyonce, we love you.
I'm gonna do songs.
A wealth of talent here, huh?
I'm gonna jump in and kind of take a step back to Ms. Joyce's question about involvement in neighborhood associations, etc., and to Dallas's point about being aware of the people who've done great things, especially African Americans in Memphis. I think there's a real connecting point. Say, for instance, if people in Klondike, which I know you're from, Ms. Joyce, if they knew that a Ms. Joyce came from Klondike and they were, aware of your story, I think that might inspire some more Ms. Joyce Coxes, but we need a platform for people to know that Director Young is from Oak Haven, you know what I mean? And they're 10 young boys, if they got to see your face, know you went to Oak Haven Elementary or whatever school, and they could then tie themselves to you. Because like she said, we are what we see. Yeah. And so if our uncles, and this ain't no knock, I got love for people who really out here doing it in the streets, and I got as much respect for them as I do with Director Young. But if that's all you see, that's literally all you can be. Definitely. And so I think that if we find a platform to connect people to young people to the people who have gone ahead and done great work, and that way we're building legacy in the neighborhood, and there's a different sense of pride that would pull somebody to the neighborhood association if they know that some folks have done some great work in Whitehaven. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we just had a career expo in October, and a lot of the past alumni, people who went to East, people who went to Northside, came back just to share what they have learned from whatever school that they went to, and what careers they're doing now. I know one guy, Dr. Fago, he's a pathologist with UT, Memphis.
Do they make the sodas? Does he make the sodas too? That's not him.
No, that's not him. That's not him. But I know one girl, she was like so, I guess, inspired by his speech that she decided to take AP Biology.
That's it.
Wow.
That's what we need. So I want to end on that note. I want to hear you guys just kind of close out on some of the things that you're optimistic about for Memphis and for young people moving into this next year as you guys get ready to embark on your college journeys, whatever you choose to do after you graduate. What things are you optimistic about?
Well, I know for me, I plan to pass the torch to someone else from Whitehaven, preferably a junior, so they're able to pass the torch to sophomore, and then sophomore is able to pass the torch to a freshman, be able to know each other. And I feel that there is hope. it's hope, and it's already change is already happening. But I feel that in the next 5 to 10 years, the youth in Memphis, we're gonna be up there.
Y'all gonna be the bomb diggity, aren't you?
Yeah, we're gonna have. That's the real glow up.
Yes,
we're gonna have the real glow up.
Dallas.
I feel like I'm going to pass the torch as well, but I want to start working on it right now.
Right.
Like, I have really been trying to get the kids at my school to just be involved in something. I don't care what it is, art club, science club, just something. And just to, what else do I want to do? I just want to do good in life, and I want the people after me to do good in life and be happy with life. Be happy from where you come from, and whatever you're doing, just be happy.
Yeah, and one thing that I love to stress that my parents and grandparents and everyone that I have met has instilled in me is that, yes, you may leave Memphis, and yes, I'm leaving Memphis for 4 years, and maybe even more than that. However, I'm going to come back to make Memphis better.
All right, that's what I like to hear.
All right.
You just don't leave Memphis and say, oh, it's Memphis. No, because you're going to get to the big cities like New York and Los Angeles, and you're going to figure out it's nothing up there either. It's pretty much the same. I have friends who are from New York, who are from Boston. They say, what's the difference? We have killings and shootings and crime and stuff up here. What's the difference?
We just don't hear about them.
You just don't hear about them. All you hear about is, oh, well, we're going to have the New York ball drop. That's all you hear.
Bertram, what are you excited about?
Well, like Mackenzie spoke to, I'm excited about young people honoring their roots, staying rooted in the city. No matter where you go and what you're going to learn, that we are developing a culture that folks are proud to be associated with wherever they go. And so that's super exciting. I'm excited about opportunities like this continuing to happen, where we have intergenerational conversation and fellowship, because that is truly the only way that we will, in 5 to 10 years, see that glow up that we all know is possible. We gotta continue to have these conversations that are open, and there's just open dialogue, and that those opportunities for young people to really listen and sit up under some wisdom, but for those with the wisdom to take the wisdom that they're gaining from young people and move on it. And so again, I really got to commend Director Young, Ms. Joyce, for being able and open to getting this conversation started. I believe through Neighborhood Connect alone, this is, a seed has been planted today, and we just got to continue to nurture that thing, put some water on that thing, put some nutrients in there. And I honestly feel like if we are intentional about making these interactions happen and supporting, the things that they positive, then we really be on to something. Locking arm in arm.
Well, I just wanted to say what I've learned. Tell you what I've learned today. And I'm so proud of you guys, and thank you so much for coming. But a wise man once said, where sin abides, grace abides even therefore more. And what you guys have shared with us is letting us know that grace is shining, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for listening to Neighborhood Connect.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
This is Neighborhood Connect, executive produced by the Division of Housing and Community Development, hosted by Paul Young and Joyce Cox for HCD, engineered, recorded, and produced by Kudzuki.